You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where in this segment of the show, we're going to be talking about the three-match T20 series between England and Pakistan. Before we get into that, though, just a quick reminder to find us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And don't just find us, follow us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Head over to Spotify or iTunes or wherever it is. Follow us there. Head over to YouTube and give us a subscription there, or head over to our patreon.com/the Cricket Pod and become a patron, just like Stan Weasler did, who is getting his third mention of the show. What a legend. England v Pakistan, because the third T20 finished at a ridiculous time because Dawid Malan decided to drag the fucking game out. We're all sitting here at 5-11, wondering why we're doing this with our lives. And I think we're going to try and get through this quite speedily. So Max or Ross, I don't know which one of you is doing it. Do you want to take us back to the first match of the series? It was a run fest, and talk us through what happened and any key points that we need to have a quick chat about.
Absolutely. So after a crushing 3-0 defeat in the ODIs, Pakistan bounced back with almost the perfect T20 win. On a glorious batting deck at Trent Bridge, none of their batters struck at less than 150. Babar and Rizwan set a positive tone with a 150-run opening partnership that gave the rest of the order the licence to swing from the hip, and swing they did. They slayed England's bowlers and recorded 232 from their 20. England, who are seemingly not afraid of anything, saw Jason Roy record 32 off 13 balls before throwing it away in familiar fashion, but it's always great to see him at the crease. He also threw his toys out of the pram, which I really enjoyed seeing. Malan, Bairstow and Moeen struggled with Shaheen and ultimately failed, but Liam Livingstone gave them hope with an astonishing knock of bravado, brawn and brilliance, walloping 103 off of 43 balls. But no one could get going at the other end, thanks to some great fielding, some really strong bowling, including Hasnain Khan, who turned the screw and recorded a 31-run win for Pakistan. Pakistan comprehensively outplayed England here, I thought. I think Liam Livingstone's knock was kind of one of those just crazy anomalies that happen in cricket, but Pakistan was brilliant here. They batted well, they bowled well, and some of their fielding was absolutely fantastic. A shout-out has to go to Shadab Khan, who was immaculate.
I mean, it was a mad win. Considering they just lost 3 matches to the England C team, them coming out and blasting 232 against the England A team has got to rank up there with the greatest Pakistan things Pakistan have ever done.
Well, it's always it's amazing, isn't it? It is the flip of the coin. Oh, we're going to play brilliantly today.
Yeah. And then, we'll get on to the next 2 T20s in a bit, but they weren't anything like as good for the other 2 matches. What I think is fantastic about this innings from Pakistan compared to basically every other match I think they played in this series is that they weren't slow really at any point in their innings. And the people that came in for cameos played traditional T20 style cameos. We've got Sahib Maqsood, 19 off 7, Fakhar Zaman, 26 off 8, Mohammad Hafiz, 24 off 10, all scoring at like 250 or 250 plus.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want when you've got that platform that Rizwan and Azam have given them. They couldn't find that formula in the other matches, which is a shame for them. But I'll tell you what, that's as close to perfection as you'll get in T20 cricket, I think.
Yeah, I think England's bowling lineup wasn't the best. I think it was quite England's A team when it came to that, but it was definitely a brilliant performance. I think even Rizwan, I've just been continuously impressed going into the series in England. He hadn't scored too many runs, and yet he's been they're quite possibly their best player. He's been consistent. He's been busy at the crease, and he's got like a wide array of shots. That he's an absolute gem.
Mac Daddy, do you want to talk about Liam Livingstone? You've been quiet so far.
Yeah, Liam Livingstone. That was quite the show of hitting, wasn't it? I thought he was going to do it. I think he just ran out of people, didn't he? No one could really stick with him for long enough to give him the bit of support that he might have needed. And even then, when he fell, he was only a couple of feet from registering yet another 6. It was a stunning performance from him, and makes me wonder whether he might have smashed his way into England's team for the World Cup.
Well, this is a bit. It kind of puts. And I know it's ridiculous to say, but Owen Morgan's position in the T20 team is already in that position. Like, yes, he's the captain, but actually, a guy who bats and bowls, it might be a better option here.
Or David Milan.
Yeah, so for me, I'm thinking David Milan might drop out, and Stokes comes in for David Milan.
I hope it's not Stokes. Like, you might as well play Bairstow at 3 or Moeen Ali at 3. So I don't think Liam Livingstone should be batting at 3. But David Milan has proven that he can't play spin. So then you can't go to the UAE where spin's going to be quite important and play David Milan at 3.
Well, I think that's incorrect, though, isn't it? David Milan strikes at a much higher rate against spin. It's like 1.
Have you seen him against spin? Do you see him against spin in this series against Pakistan? He couldn't fucking hit it off the square.
What makes a good T20 player, though? It's hitting, and he hits spin slightly better. Look, I'm just reporting facts. Sorry.
We don't want to know any facts here.
What was his scores of this series? 1-1, and one of the worst 31s of all time in T20 cricket.
No, I agree. I think there's a good argument for him not being in the side, but I don't think it's because he can't play spin. I think it's because he's too slow off the mark.
Yeah.
I also don't think Stokes should be in the side, but I've said that plenty of times. And because he's Ben Stokes.
Yeah, but I'm just assuming that Ben Stokes will be in the side. Because, like you say, because he is Ben Stokes.
To use one of Dan Weston's phrases, it's England use data when data suits them, and the data does not suit picking Ben Stokes. But they'll pick him. Yeah. Do we need to talk about any more about this? Obviously, it was Pakistan's only win of the series. So do we want to give them some more love, Ross? Do they do anything else good?
I think it was a good bowling performance. As I said, like, Hasnain Khan actually bowled really, really well. He's quite young. So there's definitely, again, a young person in the bowling lineup for Pakistan coming through. They
also fielded well, which was very important. They took their catches when they needed to get rid of England. Yeah.
And this is the beauty about the Pakistani cricket team, and that they literally have so many brilliant parts to it. You just have no idea how it's going to come out. It's like an experiment every single time, and that's what makes them so exciting. I think the World Cup will probably suit them playing in the UAE. And I actually think that this series, they'll probably do a Pakistan and change like the whole board, change the manager and change the coaches and all that kind of stuff. But
Babar Azam.
Yeah, so they'll do something like
scoring enough hundreds.
But actually,
an official communique from the PCB admitting that Kohli's better than Babar Azam.
Yeah, there'll be something that happens in that, guys. But I genuinely think they are so close to getting it right. There's just something missing.
Right, should we talk about a game where they got it wrong?
Yes, please.
Second match, Max.
Yeah, so after defeat in the first game, England were looking for a comeback. And Morgan had also indicated that he planned to mix things up in this series. And we saw some slightly unusual moves from England on that front, or rather not so much unusual, but not the normal things that you would associate from England. They batted first, and despite only lasting 4 balls, Jason Rose set the tone. And Milan aside, again, the top order went hard and fast, and England raced along at over 10 and over for most of the way. But it wasn't for a slightly embarrassing run out for Liam Livingstone, who had just before that hit possibly the biggest 6 in the history of the universe. It could have been a whole lot more for England, but as it was, they still posted a pretty strong-looking 200 from 119 balls. And here is where Morgan went a bit rogue. He opened with Rashid, and then
Morgan wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, England. Sorry. Here's where England went a bit rogue. Bowled for maybe Morgan just forgot he was supposed to turn up. It bowled 4 different bowlers for the first 4 overs, and I wouldn't say it was a qualified success. Pakistan quickly reached 50, but after Saqib Mahmood nabbed the wicket of Babar, England's spinners blew the door open. Rashid and Moeen took the next 4 wickets pretty quickly, and in an unprecedented turn of events, Moeen Ali actually bowled 3 overs. which was interesting. England played 2 leg spinners and they sent down 11 overs of spin, which is more overs of spin than they have ever previously bowled in a T20. And once they'd won the games, the seamers finished things off with a bit of figure massaging. So that was perhaps a blueprint for what we might see in the UAE. What do you think?
I think England have to have different plans, right? They can't go in with a one-size-fits-all approach to T20 cricket. It just doesn't work that way. So I think having those different options and trying these things out is a good thing. But it's amazing how you drop Morgan and comprehensive win, isn't it?
There are a couple of other interesting things that I think will lead on from that. If England do decide to go down the spinners routes, what happens to Mark Wood? We saw he was like the guy in India for the 5-match T20 series there. And is he injured? Is he being rested? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, why he isn't there. Did he have COVID? Was he one of the COVID boys, like Sam Curran? Because some of them didn't. I think he must have COVID. Let's say he's got COVID. What does that mean for him and his prospective role in the side? Because you assume, I mean, looking at this bowling lineup, we've got Adil Rashid, Chris Jordan, Tom Curran, Saqib Mahmood, Moeen Ali, Matt Parkinson. So probably they'll drop Parkinson because they seem to hate him. But then Jofra Archer comes in. You'd think that Chris Jordan is above Wood because they seem to really rate his death bowling. Does he come in for Tom Curran? I mean, I guess they can fit him in. I do think it does.
David Willey's consistently been the fall guy, hasn't he? David Willey's always been the fall guy.
But he wasn't in this side. So I just think it's interesting. I think England, basically what we saw here was that England have got a really nice degree of tactical flexibility. And I can't wait to see how they fuck that up in the UAE later this year by picking the wrong people.
All right arm medium paces.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not. I mean, look, Adil Rashid, Chris Jordan, Tom Curran, Saqib and Moeen Ali, Matt Parkinson, Wood, Sam Curran, Jofra Archer, Chris Wokes have all got a reasonable shout to be in that side above some of those players. But yet they all bowl really well, and England look quite good. So I don't know if you'd want to do that.
What I'm struggling with is how we are going to use Johnny Bairstow. Like Bairstow is a supreme white ball player.
Yeah.
And yet we're kind of putting him at 3, putting him at 4, putting him at 6. Like again, they're kind of doing what they did with Moeen Ali before. They did it with Bairstow with the Test side. Like I just don't understand. They've got an absolute Ferrari there, and they're driving him like a Fiat.
Just don't have Milan and put Bairstow in there.
Yeah, they seem to love Johnny
Livingston
Bairstow.
come in at 5 or 6.
Yeah, they seem to love Johnny Bairstow in all formats of the game. So bat him where he's really good in T20.
Yeah, the one format where they actually really do need to love him.
Don't understand. It's a little bit
Dum-dums. They're dum-dums.
Yeah.
Anything else from game 2?
Tom Curran actually bowled quite well.
Yeah.
So, which I mean,
that's what the data says, but I use data when I want to use data. So
I can't believe like him still being in the team is a detriment to all of the other professional English cricketers who are trying their trade as a bowler. It is.
You wait till he defends 4 in the final over in the World Cup.
Why would they give him the final over?
They made a mistake. And they did
Jofra
their
Archer,
sums wrong.
Hurt his elbow again. And
he fell over.
There's nobody else available. Joe Root didn't fancy it.
Here comes the lesser Jay Dernbach turning up. Great.
Okay, should we do the last game?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the last game of the series. This was Pakistan's chance to take something away from England. They could have taken the T20 series, and actually, they're not a bad T20 side. If you look at their record over the last few years, they might have gone into this thinking they had a big chance. I don't know if I'd have agreed with them, but I think they'd have been confident.
You predicted 3-0, mate, so you definitely didn't agree with them.
Yeah. They started off reasonably okay. They actually, looking at it on balance, they out-hit England in the power play, which doesn't happen very often. Mohammed Rizwan, he was basically the star of the first innings. He picked up 76, albeit off, 57 balls for a strike rate of 133. And I don't know. I feel like if you face 57 balls in a T20 match, you should get 90 at least. On the one hand, well batted Mohammad Rizwan, you got 76. On the other hand, I think you probably lost the game for Pakistan here, mate.
KL innings.
Yeah, nobody else really did much. Hassan Ali flashed around for a little bit, looked okay. With the ball, the kind of star was Adil Rashid, who picked up 4 wickets, but they were kind of weird wickets. They weren't... one was the stumping of Babar Azam with a googly that went through the gate. That was really nice bit of bowling. 2 of them were like just dragged down, so got hit to fielders. So I don't know what I'm saying there. 3 out of 5, Adil Rashid, but you get some luck as a bowler, don't you? We saw Moeen Ali. Max, you were surprised he got 3 overs in the last game. He got 4 overs, 19 runs, 1 wicket. Well bowled, better than Tom Curran. And Chris Jordan, the much maligned Chris Jordan, he bowled the last over of the innings. And it's fair to say Hassan Ali didn't really know what was going on as he kept flashing the ball past the stumps. So, a few of England's bowlers doing okay. Maybe a good point to reflect on Saqib Mahmood's performance over the T20 series. Obviously brilliant in the ODIs, fantastic in the ODIs. Less good, I would say, in the T20s. And I don't know, we were all very bullish about him getting a chance at the T20 World Cup. I'm not sure that this series has done much to force that case.
No, it's a very heavy door that he needs to push open. I don't think he's done it.
Big time. Flipping round to the England innings, it's kind of similarly, to be honest, to the Pakistan innings. There was one guy who sort of did well and everyone else didn't. Jason Roy, from pretty much ball 1, looked like a boss. He got 64 from 36 balls. He kept reverse hitting people, sweeping people. Basically anything he did to try and hit the ball square of the wicket worked perfectly. So it was really unfortunate when he tried to hit the ball back down the ground and got caught. Not ideal. Around him, Joss Buttler 21 off 22. Not a very Joss Buttler innings. Bairstow 5 off 8. Moeen 1 off 3. And probably worst of all from an England point of view, Dawid Malan 31 off 33. Ross, not great.
Well, and some people will say, "Oh, we wouldn't have won without that innings," but it's not the right mantra to have. Like it's not a good innings at all. And like you saw that, I just increasingly frustrated. Like I thought, Milan is just returning to the mean. Like I was a part of the
regressing to the mean.
Yeah, sorry, returning to the mean, regressing to the mean, whatever. And it's just a little bit disappointing to kind of see it. We've just got so much talent in that top lineup. Do we need that role? But
no.
Well, we'll get rolled for 80 in the first group game in the World Cup, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, we need the anchor roll back."
I agree with you. I mean, Moeen Ali comes in the 14th over of the match. Moeen Ali should not be coming in the 14th over of the match, I don't think. He should probably be coming in at 4 where Johnny Bairstow is, and Bairstow shouldn't be coming in the 13th over of the match. It's all slightly muddled, and that Dawid Malan thing, like when he was bossing it last year, the year before, it was very hard to make the case that he shouldn't be in the team. But Ross, I sort of agree with you. I'm not absolutely sure why you'd have a guy in your team who got 31 or 33. And I don't know how much of the innings you watched. I know you were on a train, but he kept playing shots that were only, at best, going to get him a 1. So he must have played 10 cover drives. Really nice shots. They're like really beautiful cover drives. But the thing with a cover drive in a T20 match is it goes along the floor. If it goes through the infield, it gets picked up by deep cover for a single. And if it doesn't, it gets hit to extra cover. It's a dot. And there were points in that innings, where England needed to score at 7 and over. And cricket fans who don't understand T20 cricket, they'd have been like, right thing to do. Keep getting the singles. You'll get a wide here and there. You only need a 2 and over and you're with the rate. The problem is that it's really, really hard to score off every single ball. There's no batter in the world, basically, whose strike rate is above 100 if you subtract boundaries. You have to try and hit boundaries. And he hit 2, which is crap.
And it's your point to the people they've got in the shed. They've got Liam Livingstone, who just cracked 100,
well,
40 ball 100.
Liam Livingstone comes in first ball, blasts a huge 6, and the next ball tries to hit it again, and is out. And to be honest, look at their match impact. Liam Livingstone's 6 took England from, I would say, a 60% chance of winning So probably a 90% chance of winning in 2 balls. David Milan took them from probably a 70% chance of winning down to 60. It was a poor innings. Max, anything to say about this match?
No, I think you've summed it up really well. I think that might be, Livingston pushed his case in the start, and I think Milan might have pushed Livingston's case even more for in this game today.
Right.
What I really like about the series is that I think that it actually sets up the 100 pretty well. Like, I actually think there's a load of healthy competition. Like England getting COVID, as much as it was a bad thing, I think was good for English cricket, and I think it was good for the 100. I actually think the competition for spaces in that T20 squad, there are still a couple of places up for grabs. So I think it's.
I was going to ask that actually. Yeah, are we now looking at a situation where we could be saying, David Milan needs to have a good 100 to save his spot on the plane?
I think it's a fair assessment. But I mean, it's England. I think what you said on one of the last podcasts you did with Dan Weston. It's easier to stay in the England team than it is to get into it, or whatever. It's harder to get out of the England team than it is to get into it. And yeah, that might well be the case, Max.
Right. Fellas, that's a pretty long cricket podcast from us. Coming up after our next break is an interview between me and Ross. Well, not between me and Ross. Me and Ross interview Sophie Love, of the captain of the Welsh Fire. She's really interesting. We talk tactics. We talk about their ambitions for the tournament. We talk about team songs, obviously. And you should tune in for that. We will be back sometime after the weekend. We've got an India preview. The 100 is going to rumble along. We're really excited to see what that format's like. It could be crazy. It might not be, but I imagine it will be pretty crazy.
Get on board the fun train, people.
Get on board
Choo-choo.
the fun train. Choo choo. The fun train is departing the station. Last reminder, at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram, patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. Stan Weasler, 4th mention on the show. You're a legend. And like, subscribe, leave us a comment.
Thanks for listening, everyone.